Tashdile everyone, I'm Sakina Bhatt and welcome to Tibet This Week, a weekly feature in English that tells you about this week's news on Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Central Tibetan Administration. Let's look at the headlines first. Ancient Indian traditions produced great thinkers like Buddha and Gandhi. His Holiness the Dalai Lama in Dharamshala. India best equipped to develop a sound education for global well-being. His Holiness the Dalai Lama. CTA holds prayer service for Tenga who self-immolated for the cause of Tibet. Non-violence may take some time, but it is the right approach. CTA President to governance now. Thank You Taiwan calendar heralds 2018 Thank You Year. On Saturday last week at the Convention for Global Peace in the Path of Buddha and Gandhi, organized by Gandhi Smriti in collaboration with Central University of Himachal Pradesh, His Holiness the Dalai Lama said that time was ripe for modern India to revive its 1,000-year-old trove of wisdom that produced great beings like Buddha and Gandhi. His Holiness said that reason as to why Buddha and Mahatma Gandhi are considered extraordinary beings is because of the ancient Indian tradition and knowledge.
While we praising Mahatma Gandhi, Buddha, I think basically we must now realize that 1,000-year-old India's tradition is really a great tradition which can produce.
Non-violence, compassion and religious tolerance are India's ancient values, and the time has come to export it to the rest of the world. His Holiness told the gatherings of senior Gandhians and scholars of India. While appreciating India's ancient tradition, he noted that it should be revived through a universal education system, not religion.
So we create a lot of problem and pray to God is, I think, contradiction. Since we created this problem, we have the full responsibility to reduce this eventually.
As a result of the meeting, the scholars will produce a proposal for global peace efforts which will be presented to UNO and international organizations for peace. On Tuesday this week, His Holiness the Dalai Lama graced Government College's annual prize distribution in Dharamshala.
India is the only nation who can combine modern education, modern technology, science, and modern economy, plus ancient Indian knowledge how to tackle our mind, our emotion, and bring peace of mind.
He urged India to take leadership in the promotion of secular ethics through education and reinvigorate the country's guiding principles of ahimsa and tolerance, and said that the time has now come for India to revive its rich ancient heritage. On Saturday last week, the Department of Religion and Culture, Central Tibetan Administration, held a prayer service for the 63-year-old Tenga, who died after burning himself in protest against the Chinese government on 26 November in Karzai, eastern Tibet. The prayer service was presided over by Lupin Thupten Chopel of Namgyal Monastery and attended by members of the Kasha, members of the Tibetan Parliament, Chief Justice Commissioners and staff of the Central Tibetan Administration along with local Tibetan people. In his condolence remarks, President Dr. Lobsang Singye expressed the Kasha's profound sadness at the self-immolation of Tenga and read out a brief biography of the deceased, describing him as a scholar of Tibetan language. He further conveyed the Kasha's concern at the clampdown imposed by the local Chinese authorities in Karzai following the self-immolation. Despite the Central Tibetan Administration's repeated appeals not to resort to drastic actions such as self-immolation, at least 150 Tibetans have set themselves on fire inside Tibet since 2009. Out of the 150, 128 of them have died, while the status of the rest remains unknown. Tenga, who was the latest self-immolator, has raised calls for freedom in Tibet before succumbing to his injuries that he has sustained during the fiery protest. Earlier last month, the president of the Central Tibetan Administration, Dr. Lobsang Singye's interview was featured on the Governance Now, a multimedia initiative for participatory reportage and analysis related to governance of all institutions and processes that are vital to public life in India. Referred to as the regent of the Tibetan government in exile in the magazine, Dr. Singye voiced his views on various matters pertaining to global peace and stability in the face of a powerful China. In the context of China's growing economic investments as well as its influence around the globe, Dr. Singye spoke about China's expansionist design, which he said is reflected in the Doklam conflict that saw a military standoff between the two ancient giants. Dr. Singye also touched topics upon the Rohingya crisis and praised the Indian governments for supporting the Tibetans more out of humanity than political reasons. Had India not given us shelter or treated us well, we would have been in a very bad situation. Similarly, the Rohingyas too deserve a place to stay in, he said. Dr. Singye answered queries on One Belt, One Road initiative and encouraged the Gandhian notion of ahimsa, the best way for Tibetan freedom. On Sunday this week, Dr. Singye left Dharamshala for an official trip for engagements in Delhi, upon the completion of which he will embark on a 5-day visit to Washington, D.C. and New York. On Wednesday last week, the Taiwan Office of Tibet released the 2018 DEX calendar titled Thank You Taiwan as a prelude to the series of events and activities planned to mark the Thank You Year. As planned by the Kasha, Tibetans across the globe will mark the year 2018 as Thank You Year to express gratitude to the people and governments of their respective countries for supporting the cause of Tibet and the Tibetan people, and also to the supporters of the Taiwan Office of Tibet since its inception in 1998. Further, the Tibetans in Taiwan will also commemorate next year's 20th founding anniversary of the Taiwan Office of Tibet. About 6,000 copies of the 2018 DEX calendar have been printed and will be distributed to the Blue Book members, Tibetan Dharma centers and the supporters of Tibet, says Representative Dawa Tsering, and further added that the Snowland publication will next year publish an exclusive souvenir highlighting the support of the government and people of Taiwan for the Tibetan cause, as well as all major works and events about Tibet that were undertaken in this country since the inception of the office. The Taiwan Office of Tibet will also organize a photo exhibition and also a day-long international conference highlighting the support of Tibet in this country. So much for this week. See you next time. Have a great weekend.